So those who are following my Angular 20 tutorial, so almost basic topics are completed, including login, authentication, and everything. So now I'm going to complete a small employee leave management application where we will use all the concept, whatever we have seen till now. And only by using those concepts, we will be completing our simple employee management or leave management application. So basically we have two roles, HR and the employee. So this application will help you to employee onboarding, means employee creation will be there, and employees can raise a request for their leave, and a department head will be approving those leave. Just a simple flow is there. API we are going to use from preapi.miniprojectapi.com. So here you can see, over here you can see employee leave project is there. All the APIs are over here, from employee creation, the leave and login and everything, approved leave and reject leave, everything APIs are there. So by using this API, we are going to implement our whole project. Again, whatever the concept we have seen till now, only we are going to use this concept, not any advance or not thing. The purpose is like, I wanted to clarify that by using whatever we have seen till now, by using those concepts also, you can complete the project. So these are the mostly used things, whatever we are going to use. Like again, things are like interceptor, view child, ng container, ng template. These are one or two times scenarios we use. Those are also important, but I'm saying ki whatever the concept we have seen till now, those are the most important one. Fine. Now what I have done, UI is almost ready. So by using ChatGPT only, I have created the UI. So you can also do the same thing. So you can see, let me just open it. So this is the login page we are going to have. Once user login, then we will have the dashboard page where we can show some data. Then we will have a sidebar also over here. Then this is the employee page. Over here, we will have the employee form and everything. From edit, update, delete, we will be doing. Then we have the leave application. From here, we can apply for the leave also. Fine. So this the UI is almost ready, because if I started designing the UI also in the project, so project length also very, it will grow very long. Again, you can use ChatGPT or Bolt AI or Cursor or any lovable AI tool to generate the basic UI. So I have also done the same thing. You can also do the same thing. You also need to learn how we use AI to create the repetitive task or unnecessary task which consume so much of time, right? So we can use AI to reduce that time. Now, the project I have created is Angular 20. So you can see Angular 20 is there. Apart from project creation, I have installed Bootstrap also. After installing Bootstrap, I have added the link of Bootstrap in my angular.json also. This is the initial thing I have done. Fine. Let me close it. Apart from that, it's a plain Angular project. Now I'm running my application on localhost 4208. Make sure you also run on the same, because APIs will provide you response on the same API, now on the same port number. Fine. Now, let me just, now we have to create the component. So as I said, what we are going to have login page. Again, it's an admin application. So we will need a layout page to hold our navbar and everything. Then we will need an employee page where we will have the CRUD operation of the employee. One page for the leave creation. A same page we will use for the employee also and for the department head also. And one dashboard page. So let's create the component first. So now in app folder, I have to create the folder. Let's say pages. And in pages folder, I have to create the respective component. Let's open a new terminal. Ng generate component login. This is the first component I'm creating. Like that, I will create the remaining component also. Let me just quickly create it. So you can see after login, I have created layout component, employee component, leave component, and then the dashboard component. So I have created all the component which we are going to need. Once you create the component, next thing you have to create the route, right? So we have to go to approute.ts. Now in this file, we have to create our routes. So route is nothing but an object which contain path, component, and something, right? So first default route I'm creating, it will be empty, redirect to. From Angular 19, the major feature was now in redirect to, previously we can pass just string value, but now we can create a function also. We can pass a function also over here. That is the new thing we got. So if you hover on this, see either a string value pass or a redirect function. Fine. So this is the new thing what we have got from Angular 19. Now we are going to redirect to our login page. So our default route will be this. And if we don't have anything, by default, it is going to login route. Now we have to create our login path, component, login component. Fine. Now, like those who are seeing Angular 20 for the first time. Now we don't have dot component dot extension in the name. We just have login.ts, login.html, login.css. So that's why you see login only there. Then we need one more path with empty location, empty path, but component will be our layout component, the extra component which we have created. So in the layout, in the login application, in the login functionality, I have already explained the importance of this layout component. So after login, layout component will be your parent component. So then we need the children. So all the component which we are going to access after the login will be declared over here. Those will be children of our layout component. So path, first let's say dashboard, then component, dashboard, then another route, path, employee, component, employee. Like this, I have to create all the route. Let me just create it. Fine. So these are the only three components we have for now: dashboard, employee, and the leaves. So this is what your routing should look like. Okay. Now we have done the routing. Let's try to run the project also. Let's save it all. Okay. Sorry, I'm already running it. Let me just open localhost 4208. So by default, you can see login work is coming, but this page is also coming. This is because by default, we get the HTML code. So in our app component, we have this predefined HTML code. Let's get rid of this. So in app component, we will just have our router outlet. Fine. Now, first we have to complete the login functionality. So in login functionality, we will use the existing user to login. So let me show you the existing user. Oh my God, let me, over here, I have a user already. So this is the existing employee which I have created just now by using Swagger. So this employee we will use to login. So you can see this is the login API. The method is the post one, and this is the email ID and the password object we need to pass. Now we are moving towards the API integration. So whenever in Angular we have to do the API integration, first thing we have to do is in our app config. That is over here, we need to inject our provide HTTP client method. Okay, this is the first thing you have to do. Then we have to create the service, right? API call we can create in the component also, but where we should keep it in the service only. So in app folder, I will create a folder services, and in services, I have to create first service. That will be, let's say, employee service only I will create. We don't have so many things. So ng generate service employee. So now here also you can see previously we used to get employee.service.ts, but now it is employee.ts. So now if you see, we have two employee.ts. One is the component and one is the service. Now this is the confusion we are going to have because we can have so many files with the same name. Just where we have that, that will be different. Fine. So we have created our service. Now in employee component, employee service, we have to inject our HTTP client. So private HTTP colon HTTP client. Now first API call function, that is on login. Okay. Now here we have to do the API call integration. So return this dot HTTP dot post API call. So this function we are going to call from our component. So we are, while calling this function, we are going to pass the object. So that object, we will catch it over here. Any. Again, I'm going with any. Let me complete this login. Then next I will explain the class and the interface also. I think in the tutorial, I forgot to cover this, like how do we create class and interface instead of any, but I will cover it right now. So this is my URL. So this I need to copy, and this will go over here as a first parameter. Second parameter will be our object. So whatever the object in the parameter we will get, that we will pass it over here as a parameter. Fine. So this is our very basic API call function. Again, we are going to modify the remaining, but this is very basic API call function in our service. Now we have created our service. Now this service we need to inject into our login component. But before that, let's copy paste the UI also. So this is the UI. So first I need the global CSS. So this I'm copying and pasting it into my global style.css. The CSS are the classes which I'm going to need, or all the component. Fine. Now I need the login HTML and CSS. Login page. Let's go over here, copy, and let's post it over here. Let's save and check if the login page is coming proper or not. Something is missing. Fine. So I think in login also we had some CSS. Yes. So let's copy this and this will go into login CSS. These CSS are related to login only. Again, yeah. So basic page is coming. I think that background is missing. So we don't need that for now. Now, so login page is coming. Now we have this field already. Now this is the object what we need to pass. So in Angular, we have two types of form, template and the reactive. So I will start with the basic, then we will go with the advanced. So React template form I'm going to do. So this is the object. So what we can do in our login component.ts, we have to create the object. So let's say login obj colon any is equal to this object. So this is the normal way how you create the object. Now, instead of doing it with any, let me just complete the process. Uh, since we are using template forms, so forms model, we need to import forms model. It's not suggesting. Let's add the import. For the first time, we just need to do it. Otherwise, it will start suggesting imports. Forms model. Fine. So we have imported forms model. Now this object, we need to bind it to the HTML. Fine. So over here, email address, square bracket, round bracket, ng model dot. So you can see after adding a dot, it's not suggesting anything. That's because what's the data type you have? Any, right? And now any can contain anything. So that's why IntelliSense work. But instead of going with any, we should create a class or the interface of it. So what I can do in app folder, again, I'm creating a model folder. Now in model folder, I'm creating a class that is user or employee.ts only. Employee.model.ts. Fine. Now inside that, we have to create our class to hold those data. So class login model. Now how many properties we have? Just the two. Email ID, data type will be string. Then password, again data type will be string. So this thing I have missed. Okay. So that I'm covering over here. Now here we need to initialize all the fields, whatever we said. Initial value. These are strings. So initial will be empty value. Password is equal to empty. So now we have created a class which contain the properties which we need to send to the login API. Now this model, we can pass it over here as a data type. Now instead of any, we will use this. Let's add the import also. Now instead of initializing like this, we can just make use of new initializer like this. Fine. Now see in the HTML, once I use the dot, see it is showing the IntelliSense properly because we have strongly typed that property with a class, right? Like this we need to do. Again, ng model we are using inside the font tag. So name attribute will be mandatory. So name is equal to email ID over here. Let me just copy, paste it over here. This will be password now. And same thing over here. Fine. So we created object, that object we have binded over here. Now login validation I'm not covering because we have already covered that in the normal tutorial. So now I'm just moving ahead with the login. Sorry, click on login. Let's create this function now. Fine. Now we have already created the service and inside that service, we have already created the API call function. So that service we need to inject to our component first, then only we can use it. So employee service is equal to inject. Now this is something new. Either you inject your service in the constructor or by using the inject method. So what we need to inject? Employee. Now see, we are getting two IntelliSense, employee, but what we need? Service. So make sure you see the proper folder path. Okay. Then this dot employee service dot on login dot, we need to pass a parameter. So that is nothing but our object dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket. Now I'm going to use the next and the error. So instead of the new syntax, what do we have in the subscribe? So next colon result, then error also. Fine. So let's check the response. The response we are getting object, and the result property will make it is true and false if API call is success or not. So that's what check we are will add. So if result object dot result property is true, now it is giving error because we didn't provide the data type to the result. So let's add a data type colon any. Now here, if result is success, we will just show alert saying login success. And if you check the response, in the response, you are getting the whole employee object. Now this whole employee object, we will store it to the local storage because we need the logged in data, like which user is logged in. So we need this, we need to store this data into our local storage. So either local storage, session storage, cookies or service, anywhere you can store, but still on the browser level only we need to store somewhere. So here we will, key name will be live user and the path. Now we need to store the whole object, but object we cannot store. We have to convert it into string. So JSON dot stringify and result dot data. In the data, we get the object like this we will store. And once user is successfully logged in, after that, we have to navigate him inside the application. So we need the instance of our router service also. Router inject router. Fine. So here, this dot router dot navigate by URL, and where we will navigate dashboard. So let's get the path of the dashboard. So this will go over here. And if the result property is false, we have to show the message also. So from the API only we get the message. So result dot message field. And if API is not successful, we will get the error over here. We will say API error. This is our API call function. Let's save all and let's test everything if we are able to log in and everything. Let's try the login now. So first, this is my email ID and password. I'm passing the wrong password. Login. See, wrong credential I'm getting. Let's pass the correct credential now. 112233. Login. Login success. And you can see we are navigated to the dashboard. But again, navbar and everything is not coming. We navigated to the dashboard, but layout is coming because dashboard component is a children of layout. That's why layout component got loaded. Now we need the navbar. So let's copy the sidebar from dashboard. Anywhere we can copy. Where is the navbar? Yeah. So this is the whole div. Let me just copy and this will go into our layout component that is over here. Let's save and check. Yeah, it is coming. Now here dashboard component should load. So let's remove the dashboard code. Wait, this is our sidebar. Then this is the main content. Let's remove. Yeah, so here our dashboard component should load. So after that, again, we will need the router outlet. So to use the router outlet, again, we need to import it also. Router outlet, and we are going to need router link also. So let's import that also. Fine. Now here we will have router outlet. Let's save. Let's save. So see, dashboard component is loading. So this navbar is in our layout component, but it is loading our dashboard component now proper. And remaining URLs we have. So let's add the URLs also so that we can navigate properly. So this is our navbar. Let's say instead of href, now we have to use router link where we have to navigate. This will be for dashboard. Let's copy paste. Instead of HTML, directly the route name we have to use. Then we have employee. And last one is live. Whatever the route name you want to give. Okay, here we didn't change live. Fine. Let's save and check now if we are able to navigate also. See, we are able to navigate. Okay. So we are able to navigate into the component. Here we on click of logout, we just need to remove the log logged in data, and again we need to navigate him back to the application. So to do that, in over here, we will create log off function, local storage dot remove item. What's the item we have stored? Let's check the login. This is the key name. So we will remove that. And again, we need to navigate him back to the login application. So again, we need to inject our router. So router is equal to inject router. So after removing the local storage, this dot router dot navigate by URL, and where we should navigate back to login page. And this function we need to call on the logout button over here. Click log off. Let's save and check if we are able to navigate back to the log off. See, okay. So our login functionality is done. Now we will start with the employee registration. So we will start the employee CRUD operation now. Let me just close everything. So now the employee component. Now we need the UI also, right? So UI I have already created. So let's get the UI first. So this employee sidebar. After that, this will go. Let me just copy. Code will go over here, and we have a model pop-up also where we have the form. So let's copy this. With the model pop-up, I'm going to explain one new topic also, that is the view child. Let me just copy paste first. Okay, so fine. So this is the UI. Let's try to access the UI. Sorry, where was the... Yes, so this was the credential what we created. Let's copy. Login success, and we navigated. Now if we try the employee page, so basic UI is coming. Now, so on the page load, we have to get the list of all the employees. Means we have to call the API. So let's check the API. So you can see get employees. So this API is responsible to get all the employees currently present. So currently we have so many employees. So let's get it. So this is the API call. So let's copy this URL. Now, again, we have already created an employee service, right? So inside that we can create a function. So get all employees now. So return this .http.get, and you need the URL. Fine. So this is your normal API call function. Now, this function returns observable type of data. Now, if we know like what type of data we are going to get, array of this, or our API is going to return this type of object, message, result, and data. So we can create interface of it. Okay. So let's create the interface of it. Because everywhere we should not use any anywhere, right? So every time we should create proper return type. So now export, just like class, we can create interface also. So API response model. These are the properties we have. Message will be with data type string. Then result will be Boolean. And then data can be anything. So sometimes in the data, we will get an array. Sometimes we will get an object also. So it can be anything. So that's why I'm going with any. So we can say this is the single place where we should be allowed to use the any. Now, in employee service, we have to specify the return type also. Observable. We need to add the import, then only observable will come. It will come from RxJS. Employable. Now, what type of data we are going to return from this function? We are going to get the data, whatever we get from the API, and that simply we are going to return. Now, API is returning observable type of data. Means this model we are going to get response. Okay, so this type response we will have it. Let's add the import also. And after get also, we need to provide the return type like this. So this should be your proper API call. This is very basic API call function, but we should properly specify like what type of data I'm going to return from this function. So we are going to return this type of model. Okay. Now in employee.component.ts on the page load, we have to do the API call. So implements on init. We have to implement the on init. Then ng on init we need to implement. We will create one function also get employees. Now we have created service, and in service we have created this function, right? So this we need to inject. So employee service is equal to inject. What we will inject? Our employee service. Why it's not suggesting? I think again the name issue. So now see, again, like the same issue we have because this employee, our service name is also same and our class name is also same. So it is not suggesting that import also, right? So while creating service, because the naming convention is same now, if your component and the service name or even the model name is same, so you should not use the same now, right? So let's try to add the import. Yeah, still it is like, I think we have to change the service name. Let's say service. Okay. Now in the login also we have to change it. Then we can use it. Fine. So this is the problem. I don't know like why they removed it, but normally we have a habit of keeping everything name as same, but now we have to change it. Fine. So in employee component, we have injected our employee service. Now here, this dot employee service dot currently only one function is there, that is get employees dot. We have to subscribe round bracket, curly bracket, next colon response. Now, like while we are returning the data, what type of data we are going to return this. So same data type we have to provide it over here saying from this function, we are going to get this type of data. Fine. Let's add the import also. Then next, sorry, error. Fine. Now, whatever the data we get, that we will get it over here. Now that we need to store into a variable also. So employee list colon any. Now, instead of any, now we know what type of data we are going to get. This is the data what we are going to get. So let's create an interface of it. So again, we go to our employee model.ts, export interface, employee list. Let's copy paste. Now this will get changed with number. This will also will be with the number. This will be with string. Let's copy paste. Fine. So we created interface of employee list. What type of data we are going to get? So employee list array of it. Fine. Now here, this dot employee list is equal to response dot. See, now we are getting IntelliSense data. In data, we are going to get the actual array. And that this function, we will call it on the page load. And the data we are going to store into this. And we need to iterate it also. So this is the static tr. Let's remove it and make it dynamic. And the red for loop on the employee list. and this tr will go inside the for loop. Now here we have to show the index, that is dollar index we can use +1. Then we have to show the name item dot employee name, email ID, phone number, department, gender, and everything. First name, then we have email, then we have contact number, then we have department. That's it now. We have delete and the employee button. Let's check it now if we are able to see the employees, existing employees. See, these are the existing employees. Wait, something is missing. Contact number, department, gender, and role. Okay. So from the column, we didn't remove the gender and the role. Fine. But why buttons are not visible? Text. Button text. Let's say edit, delete. Okay. Now, so employee list is visible. Now on the click of add employee, we have the model pop-up. So now we have to open the model pop-up. So this is the model pop-up. Now in normal JavaScript, we have to add a dynamic style, that is display none and something, right? So same thing we need to add it, but instead of using the document.getElement by ID, we will use the view child. So for that, we have to provide a template reference variable. So this will be new model. Then we have to create the view child. So @view child. So view child is like, you can say what we used to get in document.getElement by ID. DOM object we used to get. Same thing we are doing it over here by the view child. Okay. Then round bracket, here you have to provide the reference variable name, whatever you have given, new model. Then model data type will be element reference of the element. We are going to get it over here. So this is how we create the view child, but we need to initialize, like whenever we create the variable, we have to initialize it, but view child we cannot initialize. So we can just add a optional over here. Fine. Now on click of add, we need to call a function and where we will open the model pop-up. So this is the button. Let's create a click event. Open, we can say model. Let's create this function. Now we have to open the model pop-up. Means basically we have to add a dynamic style. By default, model is hidden. So we just need to open it. So we will add if condition just to check if the view child is not null or something. This dot new model dot native element dot style. So native element will get you the access of the particular DOM. Fine. Style dot display CSS we need to add, and value we have to pass is block. So display. And just like open model, we need one more function for close model also. Once we save the employee, we need to close the model pop-up also. And here we will say none. And this function, we have called it over here. Let's check if we are able to open the model pop-up. So on click of add, you can see we are able to open the model pop-up. Now, so this is the object what we have. So now, let me open the create employee. So if you see over here, this is the, what do we say? Our object. Employee ID is our primary key. This will be remaining, and department ID is our foreign key. So department ID is our foreign key. So whenever we have the foreign key, that foreign key data, we have to show it from somewhere. So here you can see get department API is there. So whatever the response we get from this API, we need to bind it over there as a dropdown. So on the page load, we need to call this API also so that we can show this in the dropdown. So for this, now I'm going to make use of the async pipe. Okay. Now we already created the service. So let's create one more API call function over here to load all the department. Let me quickly do that. to return this dot HTTP dot get. We can do with the simple thing also, but one more topic I can explain. This is the get API. Okay. Now I'm not writing all this API call and everything because I have written. So I'm simply going with the normal structure. But you, when you are doing it, make sure you follow all these things, whatever I have explained till now. Okay. Now in our over here, we have written the API call. So if you check the response is like we get the object and in data property, we have the array. So now we don't need to worry about the objects. What I need the array directly. So here I'm going to use pipe operator. And then inside that map operator, response. Because from this function, I just whatever the data we get from the API, we need to format and then we need to send. Any what we need to send result dot data. Fine. Now, this function is not going to return the whole object. It is just going to return the particular data property array only. Now, in our employee component, we have to create an observable. How do we create an observable? Role list dollar colon observable. What type of any of array? Again, I'm going with any of array, but you can create interface. I have already explained how do we create that. New observable like that. Fine. So we created our observable. Now in ng on init, this dot role list is equal to this dot employee service dot our get department function. Okay. Now we have to use the async pipe. So this async pipe we will import first. And this role list observable we can directly use into the UI on the model. So this is the drop down. So over here, we will use @ for loop. And instead of item now, we have to pass the observable, but with the async pipe. Means we are directly subscribing into the HTML. We are not doing that subscription in the .ts and putting it into the variable. We are directly subscribing into the HTML where it's needed. So this is the use of async pipe. Async pipe lets you subscribe directly into the HTML. Fine. Now value, we need to make it dynamic. So item dot, let's check what properties we are getting. Oh, sorry, role. Oh no, department ID only, no? Yeah, my bad. Department ID, we need to bind it over here. The variable name is wrong. It is role, it is not role list, it is department name only. And here also item dot department. Fine. Instead of role list, let's make it department list. Let's quickly replace this. Let's check now. On the page load, we should be able to see the two API call. Let's reload. Let's check the network tab. See, get all employees and get department. If you open the model pop-up, now see whatever the API, whatever the APIs means, whatever the department we have got from the API that successfully binded over here. Fine. Now, and role is, I think this API we can use. Let's try the role API. Again, we can keep it as a static also, but I have provided an API and you can bind this API. Okay, so again, one more API we can do. So let's quickly create it. Copy, paste. This is get roles and URL will go over here. Okay, just like we have created for department, we will create for roles also. You can create a static array also, but already we have API, so we can use that. Role list. And in the HTML also, we need to bind it. Instead of column D6, let's go with column D. Okay, so here we have it. and it will be role list. We will use it over here. And it is going to be our, we don't have array of objects, so directly string of array we are going to get. Select role. Fine. Let's quickly check it. Now role and the department should be from the API. So role we have, and the department also is from the API. Now we have to create the object. So that is the create template form we are going to use. So let's quickly, this is the object what we need to pass. So let's create an interface of it. Sorry, instead of interface, we should create a class. So I can use the online compiler, convert JSON to TS. It will help us to create the intercept, our class. So here you can put your JSON. This will get you an object converted into TypeScript. Then over here, let's paste it. Instead of type, we have to make it a class. Then employee model. Fine. Now all these properties we have to initialize also. So we have constructor. Now inside the constructor, we will initialize all the properties with empty values. Department ID, we will set it as empty. This dot, email ID again empty. Employee ID, we will set it at 0 because that is primary key. Employee name again empty. Gender is equal to empty. This dot, password is equal to empty. And role is equal to empty. Fine. But department ID, it is saying number. So let's convert it to string. Fine. So whatever the object we have to pass along with the API, for that we have created this class. Now, in our employee component.ts, let me close everything now. This is the HTML2 files are needed. So now this is the component. Now here we have to create the instance of our object. So employee obj colon. Now here, instead of going with any, we are going to do employee model. Why it's not suggesting employee model? This we have to provide it over here. Let's suggest the import. Yeah. Now it's a class, so we can initialize that by using the new operator. Okay. That's the purpose of creating class, because all the properties we have initialized in a single place. So in every component, you don't have to initialize. In case of interface, we have to initialize in every component. So that's why whenever we have to bind it the variable with the form, so we go for a class instead of the variable. Fine. Now this variable, we have to bind it also to the HTML form. But before that, template form we are using. So we need to import forms module. Then in the HTML, so square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to employee object dot. See, we have provided proper data type, so it is suggesting whatever the properties we have. Let's copy, paste. Let me just copy paste, then I will change the property names. Okay, here it will be role. Again, I think we might have, yes, so we have a form tag, so name attribute will be also mandatory. So wherever you are using ng model, name attribute should be mandatory. So let's copy paste. Here it will be gender. Name is equal to gender. Same property name you need to add. Then name, password, same will go over here. So this I have already explained in the tutorial. So that's why I'm not going in very deep. How do we do and why do we do? This is department ID. Here also same thing. Name, email ID, name, contact number, same property will go over here, and name property, employee name. Fine. So we created object, that object we have binded to the form. Now on click of save button or on click of add, we need to call our API call function on save employee. Okay, let's create this function. Now in our API call function also, we need to increase one more function. So just like this, post API it will be. So I'm just copy pasting on save new employee. Let's get the URL also. So this will be our URL, create employee. The remaining API will be same, just the method name is going to change. Fine. Now this API function we have to call on this dot http, sorry, dot employee service dot on save emp. This is the function. And while calling this function, we need to pass the object. So this dot employee object we will pass dot subscribe round bracket curly bracket next colon like this, then comma error callback also. Fine. Here we can say alert API call means employee created success. But from the API call, we get the result property. So that also we need to match it. So result colon any. So here, if result dot result is true, we will say alert API got created, means API is success. If the result property is false, we will get the error message in the API response only. That will be in the result properties. res dot MESSAGE message. And if API call is success, we need to trigger our get API call also. So this function I will again trigger over here. Okay. Let's quickly check if we are able to create the employee. Let's check how many records we have currently. Get employees. Currently we have around 122 record. Okay. Let's try to create one more record. All files are saved or not. Yeah. Fine. Add employee. Let's say QQ 2233441122. Again, I'm saying like APIs are open, so make sure you don't provide your original email ID and the contact number. Okay, just use the dummy one. qq@gmail.com. I'm cleaning up, but I cannot clean it, but clean it up all the time. Fine. Department I'm selecting as electronics. Password 223344. Let me just write it down also. Email ID 223344. Fine. Then password, gender, role, employee. Now on click of add employee, we should see one API call. Yes, so see employee created success. After that get employee API call is also there. Okay, on the close, we didn't call the function. Now at the end, it will be, wait, something is wrong. QQ, yeah, it is there, but in between we are getting, why we are getting in between? So record is created. You can see electronics and the number we have provided, but it is coming in between. I need to check how I'm sorting. Okay, so record is successfully created. Okay, I will check this issue. Like from API side, I'm not doing the proper sorting. So it is coming in between. It should come at least at the top or at the bottom. I will make sure it will come at the top so that latest record you will be able to see easily. Fine. So we are able to create the employee. Now, just like that, edit and the delete part is also there. But in the tutorial, I have already explained how we edit and the delete. Same procedure you have to do. Let me show it also. So this is the API for put, that is for update, and this is the API for delete. For delete, you need to pass the ID, employee ID you need to pass. So already in the tutorial, same thing I have covered. So same thing you need to do. Now employee is created. So now employee can add a leave. By using this API, employee will be able to request for the leave. So leave ID is the primary key. Employee ID will be logged in employee ID, number of days and remaining things. Then first we will raise the request from the employee. Employee will create a leave request. Then department head. If you check the department API, get all department, every department had a particular head. Let's say you belong to a particular team. Let's say you belong to a software developer team and it's a small project, right? So what your department head will be there or kind of a TL. So when you raise the request, your leave request will go to your department head and he will approve that. So like that APIs are also there. See, first you will add the leave, Then department head will log in. He can see all the leaves assigned to him, get leaves approval by supervisor ID, and then he will either approve or reject the leave. Okay. So first we will complete the flow for adding the leave. Fine. So leave component HTML I'm going to copy. So this is the leave component HTML. Sorry, let me just copy the leave component HTML code. This is the model for add leave. Then we need the UI also. Or do we have it over here? Just this div needed. Let's try to navigate to the leave page. Yeah, we got the leave. Okay. So from here, we need to open the model pop-up. Again, same thing we have to do. So for now, I will just quickly copy paste. So whatever we view child we created, this was the view child. Copy paste over here. Let's add the import also. Element reference. Then we need two function to open and the close. So we already have created this. Oh, can in the close, we forgot to call this close. So whenever we have to close, so this function in the model pop-up, wherever you have to close the model pop-up, you will call this function. Okay. And once you save, after that also you can call this function. So that model will call automatically. Model pop close will get automatically. Okay. So once you close, once the API call is success, you shown the alert. After that, you can close the model pop-up. Okay. Like this. And the reference new model, I will copy paste over here. Fine. So something I have copy pasted. Now we have to, now in previous component, we have gone. Fine. So in employee component, we have gone with the template form. Now for the leave, we will go with the reactive form. So I can cover both the thing. Now, if you see the object, add leave. So this is the object what we have. From this is our primary key, this is our foreign key. And employee ID, we don't have the employee dropdown. We already know who is the logged in employee. So we will have, we set this data by reading the logged in data. Okay. So this is the object what we need to pass. So by using this, we will create a reactive form. Okay. So let's create it. Now it will be leave form, data type form group is equal to new form group, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. These are the fields we have. Now let's remove this. And this we will replace with colon new form control. This is the leave ID. So we will initialize with 0. Fine. Then let me just copy paste. Employee ID, we will initialize with 0. But once the form is created, we will initialize to something else. From date, we will initialize with empty. Let me just quickly do the changes. Is approved. By default false we need to send because that's the Boolean value. Okay. Here also it's approved date. So let's pass the new date, current date. Or null also we can pass, I think. Let's go with null. So this is how you create the reactive form. Whatever the object you have, like that you will create the control. Okay. Then reactive form module we need to import. We created a reactive form. Now this form we need to bind it to the HTML. Fine. So let me just format the HTML. So we have the form tag. On the form tag, first we need to bind the form group name. So form group is equal to our form group name, that is leave form. So this we will bind it over here. Then whatever the control we have, right? There we have to bind our form controller name. So let me just open it side by side. So this will be, now we don't have to show the employee dropdown. Okay. So let's remove it. Leave type. So form controller name is equal to leave type. This is the value. We will bind it over here. Let me just copy. from date. So from date will go over here. Then we have 2 days. Then we have number of days. Number of days. Details. That's it. Okay. Because remaining thing like approved date is approved will be from the API side. So we created reactive form that we have binded over here. Now we can create our API call function. So again, we can go to the employee service. Now here I'm going with one service, but you can create one more extra service for the leave also. Fine. But as we don't have that much API call, so single service also we can use on add leave. Fine. Copy. Our URL will change. So URL will be add leave, copy. Fine. Remaining API URL will be same. And just like on an add, we will one more API call to get the leaves, to get all the leaves by the logged in employee. So this will be that API. So here we need to pass the employee ID, whoever is logged in, and we will get all the leaves created by him. Means just the get API call. Okay. So this will be our normal get API call, just like this. Okay, I'm just copy pasting because I have already explained this. Get all leaves by EMP ID. And this URL will go over here. Now this URL needs parameter. So we will have a parameter over here, EMP ID colon number. Okay, and this EMP ID will go over here instead of this static plus ID like this. So our URL will be dynamic. Okay, now let me just format. Keep a habit of whenever you are writing a code, make sure you always format it so that code will look proper. Okay. Now we have the save button. So click on save. Let's create this. We need to inject the service. So employee service inject employee service. Then here we need the form because it is a reactive form, but for the API call, we need to pass the object, right? So constant form value, this dot leave form dot value. Here we will get the whole object. Okay. But we don't have the employee ID in the form. So we need to read the local storage data and then we will assign it over here. So here we got, or in the constructor, we will do that. So constructor. So when we do the login data, the user logged in data, we are storing into this particular key value pair data. So let's read that because we need to assign the employee ID in this control. So constant logged data is equal to local storage dot instead of set item, it will be get item. And this is the key. Fine. Now we need to add a check. If log data is not null, so if user is logged in, so then only we will have the data. So whenever you read the data from the local storage, make sure you add a null check. Okay. So if log data is not null, again, we need to, now while storing the data, we convert it into string format. So again, we need to convert it back to the object format. So constant logged parse data. So JSON dot parse method is there, which will convert string data to your object or array format. Fine. Now we have this reactive form. In this reactive form, we have this control. So now we have to set the value of this control. So this dot leave form dot controls, which control we need? So square bracket, single quote, our control name, that is employee ID. Here we will get the specific control. Now we have to use set value method. And what we need to pass? Here we will get the whole object. And from that employee ID. Okay. I will add the debugger over here and I will show this also, like how we are doing it. Fine. Now after this dot employee service dot add leave, and we have to pass the whole object. So form value, we will pass it over here. Dot subscribe, round bracket, curly bracket, next, colon, fine. And just like this function, we need one more API call function to load the leaves. Load leaves. This dot employee service dot get all leaves by employee ID. And here we need to pass the logged in employee ID also. So logged in employee ID, we already are setting it over inside the form so that we can read. So from the form, from specific control, we are reading it. ID is equal to this dot value. So by using the reactive form and specific control, we are reading the value because that's what we are setting it into the constructor. And this we will pass it as a parameter over here. Dot subscribe, round bracket, next, colon, result. Okay. Colon any. Now, whatever the leaves are there raised by that particular employee, that we need to store it also. So leave list colon any of array I'm doing. Fine. And here you will store the data. Leave list is equal to result dot data. So let me just complete the for loop integration also in the HTML. So this is the wait leave management. At the rate for loop leave list, and we will iterate. Okay, so this will be our serial number +1. Then we have to bind the data. So item dot. Now let's check the response also. Get all leaves API I will see for now. So this is the API to get all the leaves of all the employees. Okay, this you don't have to implement. So what we can show, employee name we will show, type of leave, from date and the to date. Okay, so leave type, from date and to date. And now from date and to date are the date. So we don't want to show the time and everything. So for that formatting, we will use our date pipe. Fine. So to use the date pipe, first we need to import it also. I know I'm doing all the code in a single time. I will explain it also. Fine. So here date dd -mm should be capitalized, and YY. If you need 2 YY, if you need 3 YY, 3 YY. Let's go it over here, 4 YY. Fine. Let's try to check if everything is working. Let's see if I click on M leaves. Wait, API call is not there. Okay, so we didn't call the API call. So we need to implement on lifecycle event. So implements on init, and we have to create ng on init, and ng on init, we will call this function. So this dot load event over here. Okay. So currently for this API, we don't have any leave request. Okay. Now on click of add leave, we forgot to call the function. So we didn't copy pasted those function, I think. Open model and the close model. Let's copy this. Okay, this model we will call it over here. Fine, model pop-up is getting open. Leave type, let's say sick leave. From date, let's say from tomorrow to Friday. Okay. Number of days leave 2. Sick leave not ending well. Okay. Now on click of submit. Add leave is success. Let me show you the object also. See in the employee object, employee ID we are passing, and the response result is true. Let's try to log in again. Now in the earlier API call, we didn't get any record. Let's try to reload now. 827. See, now one record is there because we just created the record, right? And by default, the status is pen. No, we didn't match the. Let's check the status also. Okay, so is approved will come as null. If it is null, we have to say like it is pending. Okay. So by default, we will use this flag to show and hide our approved and the button. Where it was approved. Yeah, pending. No? So if at the rate if condition, if item dot this approved is null, means we have just raised the request. So by default, it will be in the pending state. Okay. Then if his supervisor approved it, at the rate else, and if it is true, we will say approved. And one more else if it equal to false, it will be not approved or rejected. Because this single flag will decide whenever you request by default, it will be null, means it is pending. If his supervisor is approved, it will be true. Otherwise, it will be rejected. Okay. So currently, it will be in the pending state. Okay. Now, pending approval. So this tab will be, let's say, instead of all leaves, we will say my leaves. Instead of this, my leave request. Now here you can see we have a tab. So this is one tab, the second tab, third tab. So on click of it, we will just hide and show our request. Okay. Now, so we have these three tabs. So for that, we will create a function, click, change tab. And here we will pass my tab, my leaves. This is the last phase we are doing. Okay. We just need to do that approval and the rejection thing. This will be pending or leave request. This tab will be for the supervisor. Okay. Then here approved one we don't need, just the two tab we will go. Leaves request. Okay. Let's create this function. Here we will get a tab name, data type string. Now we need a variable where we will store the current tab name, because we just need to hide and show which tab is currently selected now. So for that, whatever the tab name we will get, that we will store into this variable. Tab name over here. And by default, we will set it as my leave. So this value will be by default. Okay. Now, this is the variable which will decide which tab we have to show. So see here, we have two tabs, three tabs actually. So, but we don't need the third one. So here at the rate if this tab name is equal to the first one, that is my leave. So this div will be visible. So this will move over here and else to this. If it is not that, otherwise, because we just have two conditions, else this tab will be visible. Fine. Let's try to do the change also. Okay. And the button should also get highlight, right? So for that, again, same variable we can use to add a dynamic class. So this active variable. So if this variable ng class we will use. So let's use the ng class. Ng class also I have explained, right? So we just need to add a dynamic active class. So square bracket ng class. If this variable has value my leave, Then this tab should have a active class over here, question mark, this, otherwise this. Okay. Same like that. Let me copy and over here with leave request. Okay. Let's check now. See, we are able to filter, but here why data is not visible? Okay, this active class should be there. Failed. Over here. Fine. Still, it is not visible. Why? Some classes are tab pan fade. Okay, show also. Yeah. Okay. So now here we have to show the request raised to him. So again, this is the another API. So here also you have to pass the logged in employee ID only. So the someone else has approved the what do we say? Someone else has raised the request and that request you have to approve. So those requests which you have to approve. So that you have to show it over here. So this is the API call. Let's write the API call function also over here. Let's copy paste. This is we have to show in the department login. Okay. Let's copy. In the same component we are going to use. We can go with another component also, the same component we can use. So just like load leaves, we have load leaves for approval. Okay. But I will need the user ID also. Okay, let's create department we can create or not. Okay, get department. So I don't have that API where we can create the department. Okay, so we have the ID, right? So electronics department we have selected. So that is 341. Okay, so I'm doing the hard code. Okay, so here I'm passing the hard code department head ID. Fine. I will change this flow because I forgot to create the APIs for adding and updating the department head and everything. Because while creating employee, you are just passing the department ID. Okay, I think here only we can set he's the department head or not because we have a rule. Got it. So this flow, I'm not like everyone will be able to understand this, but let me just complete the flow for approval. Okay. One more video I will be creating where I will be explaining like how that flow got work because a normal employee will raise the request and that request will go to the department head which he belongs and that department head will approve and the reject. So for that this flow is there. Okay, so for now what I'm doing in leave request or how you will decide. Let's check the response in leave user. What do we get? Role we get as employee. Okay, let's try to create. So first what we will do, we will try to create a employee which is head. Okay, so let's say I'm going with Kamal Sharma. Okay, and contact number something. You should understand the flow also. That's why I'm doing like this. Kamal@gmail.com. Department. Let's say, but department is already created, right? Let's go for a department. I also forgot because one department should have only one department head, right? So if I'm creating department head, I also forgot the working flow of the API because APIs are very old. Okay, anyway, let it be. So considering like, because we are hard coding this over here, 341, that is considered like the department head is login. So by that employee, we are passing the details. Okay. And that we will get it into another variable, just like leave list, one more variable there, like approval. approval leave list, and here we will store the data, and this data we have to show it over here. Let me just copy the for loop. Over here, approval leave list, and here we will say that approve, and here it will be like reject. Okay, so let's leave management, leave request. No, wait, something is wrong. Let's check the network API call. Only one API call is going. Okay, we didn't call that on the page load. So this function also we need to call on the ng on init. So over here, we will call it. So now two APIs call are there, but 341, we are not getting the response. Oh my God. How do we handle that? Leave ID is there. Employee ID is 827. Okay. Who is employee ID is 827. Let's check the department of 827. Get employees by ID. I'm checking the record of this employee. Department ID. Okay, 117. Sorry, it's not 134. So here we have to pass the department ID of that particular 117. Now we need the department head of 117. 762. This is the department head of department head ID. So instead of 341, this we have to pass. Still we got empty only. How come? What was the logic I had, man? 117, 762. So we should be able to get the department head EMP ID 762. 762. Get all leaves by employee ID. Okay, no. The other API we have to call. This was the API I was supposed to call. Okay, here we didn't call the another function. This function we need to call. My bad. Now we should be able to get the records. Again, data is null. Data is null means something is breaking. Get leaves by approval by supervisor ID, and ID also we are passing, but API is breaking. Okay. Anyway, let me check the API first, then again I will continue. Fine. What we'll do, instead of using this API, we will use this API get all leaves. So here we will get all the leaves, whatever the request, because I also forgot like this API was created way long back. I think last year I had created this API, and I am not able to remember the logic I had created for that department head right now. But so for now, what we can do just to complete the project, we will integrate this API. Okay, and after getting the get API, we will just show the leaves which are unapproved. Okay, where is approved is equal to null, so that we can just integrate this approved API. This API we need to integrate. Okay, so let's integrate this API. So the URL will be this. So over here, just like this, one more API we will need. Let's copy paste. But this API is going to get all the leaves created by all the employees. Okay. So, but before that, so here instead of get all leaves, we will call, we don't need parameter over here. But before assigning to over here, we just need leaves which are not approved. So we will use filter over here. Filter where m equal to m dot, the flag will be approved. Is approved is equal to null, because by default it is null. Null. Okay, we need to provide the data type to this m any. Fine. So now From get all leaves, we get all the leaves. Now we just want to filter the leaves which are not approved yet. So we are using the filter method over here. Okay. Let's save and check now. So get all leaves, you can see we have, wait, how come only 3 leaves are there? Okay, so records are not present that much. Okay, so from the API, we got 4 leaves, but only 2 records are there where we have this is approved flag as false. Okay, so see, null, this is false, so it is been rejected. And the last one. Okay, so see, only 2 leaves are there which are not approved yet. So those are available over here. Now on click of approve, we just need to integrate the approve API, approve and the reject. So you can see we just need to pass the leave ID over here. Okay, let me just get the URL. And again, it is a get API. So we just need to pass the leave ID, whatever the leaves we are going to approve. So we will say approve leave. Again, it's a get API call function only. I'm just copy pasting this. Okay, and this will needs the parameter leave ID number, just like approve leave. We need one more API call, and this leave ID will go over here as a parameter, and this will be reject leave. And this leave ID also over here as a parameter. Fine. And in the HTML, we have approve and the reject button. So respectively, we have to call the function. So click approve or change status, we can say, or we have 2 different API calls. So let's leave, and we need the leave ID. So item dot leave ID. Okay, just like that, one more function will be needing for the reject. It will be reject leave. Let's create these functions. Again, we can add a role check also, because again, I said, explain, right? The APIs I'm not able to recall, but I will try to create one more API structure with the proper workflow. Okay, there you can again see. But for now, just to complete the full, we are doing it. But on the UI side, we are managing things. Okay. Now here, so this dot my employee service dot approve leave, and we need to pass the leave ID. So whatever the ID we get, that we will pass it as a parameter over here. Dot subscribe round bracket next. Fine. Just like approve, we need one more function for the reject also. The function name will be reject leave over here. Okay. And here instead of approve, we will call reject leave function. And same get all leaves function we have to again call. This function we will again call. Let's change the function name also, so that our list will be refreshed again. And on save, we need to call load leave API, so that once user create the leave, after that also he should be able to see the updated leaves in my leave tab. Fine. Let's try to check. So www. So you can see this leave I have request by the logged in employee. Again, like we can, based on the user role, we will hide and show this. Okay. Because in the logged in data, we are getting the role. So if the role is admin or HR or something, then only we will show this tab. Okay. So that thing I'm not doing right now, but you can assume, like, again, one more if statement we will add where we will read the local storage data. And if the role is admin, then only we will show this tab, so that admin only will be able to approve the leave. Fine. Let's see now. So www1, let's try to reject it. On click of reject. Wait, why approve API call is there? I think okay. And that was my mistake. I didn't change the URL. So it should be reject URL in the reject function. So this will go over here. So I think first API, first leave got approved. So now if you go back to your first page, so you can see it is approved now. Okay. Now, if you go to the leave request, currently we don't have the user. Let's try to create one more leave. Let's say annual leave. Let's say next week. Okay. Submit. So now again, I forgot to close that. So now you can see this is the new leave I have created, which is in pending. Now, if you go over here, this is the annual leave. If I click on reject, let's reload. See, it is rejected now. Okay. Again, if it is rejected, instead of this warning, we can make use of that red color also. Correct. So the first table here, instead of danger, we can use, instead of reject, it should be rejected. Okay. So like this, your flow will be there. Okay. So I hope you are able to understand what things we have done. Action we don't need. Let's remove that is. Leave ID we don't have to show. Employee leave type from date to date action. Why we have one more? Okay, this thing. Let's remove this. Okay, now it is proper. So just one flow I missed to add, that is if the logged in user is admin, then only we have to show this. So, but for now I'm stopping this project video, but I hope you are able to understand the whole flow. So we are creating the employee management is also done. Employee is able to raise the leave request. That leave admin will be approving. So we have approved and the reject leaves also. Okay. So these are the this was a small project. I wanted to explain where we can use all the scenarios or all the topics we have completed till now, just like async pipe and the view child extra thing I have used, and I have explained that too also. Okay. So again, like if you are new, please do like and subscribe. Help me to grow my channel also. That's it. Thank you guys.